I'm so happy that it's warm springtime now instead of cold springtime because that means that summer is coming, and I love springtime and summertime. But that also means that our dance schedules are about to get wonky. So for some of you, that means fewer hours. For some of you, that means a lot more hours. But for all of us, the hours get a little bit less consistent. We are all going to have gaps in that summer somewhere. And gaps are good. Gaps are great. We love vacations. It is so important to rest your body, your mind, your soul. We need to rest. We need to have fun with our friends outside of the studio. We need to explore other hobbies. These are all so good and so important. And yet flexibility, darn it. Flexibility just seems to want to go right out the window. I did a little research to see if I could figure out why flexibility decreases if I'm not actively stretching, because I'm also not actively like weightlifting, so it shouldn't be shortening. So I did the research. It turns out that our bodies are amazing and wonderful and incredibly efficient. So what I learned is that it takes energy to maintain length in muscles. And if we're not actively using that range of motion, our body doesn't really see the reason to invest the energy in maintaining the length. Our body will invest the energy in maintaining the length that we use. So if we sit and binge watch something awesome for a week, I'm not saying I disagree with the plan. I'm not saying I haven't done it myself, but if we only sit for a week, our body decreases the energy it's willing to invest in that range of motion, and that's why we lose flexibility. I had a teacher one time who was like, once you've gotten it, you'll never lose it. False. But at the same time, we're trying to be on vacation and we're trying to rest, and sometimes it feels like you can't win, and that's when I am most likely to just throw in the towel and be like, well, forget it, I'm just going to lose all the flexibility. Or depending on my mood, sometimes I'll be like, forget it, I'm never resting again, when what we need is balance. Today, I'm going to show you the stretches that I consider key to maintenance of your flexibility. I'm not saying you're going to get more flexible, but these are the stretches that I have found help students maintain the flexibility on a break. And this will take you 10 minutes tops. So it's super easy to slip into your day. As a lifelong member of the Shallow Plie Club, I feel like I've tried almost everything. I have hung my heels off of so many stairs. I have done so many lunge stretches, and they're fine, but they're not really productive. This is my favorite calf stretch. So you need a tape measure or a ruler, that would work too. But you put the 0 at the edge of your wall, and then your numbers go out from there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It seems silly that I just explained that to you. The number of times I have shown this to people and they've gone, wait, what? Is definitely higher than 0. So if you missed it the first time, just rewind the video. So here we are. You're going to put your big toe at the 5 inches mark. So your big toe is 5 inches away from the wall. We are in parallel. Most stretches are most efficient in parallel. So here we are, and we're in a demi-plie, and the goal is to get your knee to the wall. Mine doesn't get there yet. 5 inches is kind of the golden number, where if you can get your big toe at 5 inches and get the tip of your knee to reach the wall, your plies suddenly become way more effective. We start to get more ballon, your petit allegro starts to get more bouncy. So that's why I say 5. If you are just a really flexible person in your calves, you're welcome, of course, to back up. The next stretch that I want to show you is a hip flexor stretch. I have made more than one video about the importance of keeping your hip flexors long. It benefits so many things. If you have lower back pain, this might help. I'm not a doctor. I am making no promises, but tight hip flexors and tight lower backs tend to go together. Keeping your hip flexors nice and loose tends to help people open up their turnout. We gotta love our hip flexors. So Here's my quick and easy way to do it. Oh, I forgot to mention in the calf stretch, all of the stretches in this video, all of them, you only need to hold them for 30 to 60 seconds. Holding these stretches for 2 minutes at a time is not going to give you enough benefit, especially because you're really pushing perhaps overstretching injuries, right? Long stretches are not always good stretches. Efficient stretches for 30 to 60 seconds are a much better way to go. And then you can get back to binge watching whatever that was, or hiking or swimming or whatever it is that you want to do. Hip flexors. I got a little distracted. I film these in my living room, and quite frankly, the room is too small to get the camera in a place where you could see my whole self. But I think this will be good enough. Leave a comment if you need me to go do it in my backyard or something, right? But you want a nice neutral pelvis, which for me means hip dimples. Nope, they're back there. Hip dimples, your SI joint, and your hip bones are as level as your skeleton can get them. So if I've been sitting a lot or I haven't done any core work in like a week or so, it tends to be a little wonky on me. So just, I like to pretend there's like elephant ears hugging in the front. That tends to pull me back into alignment, right? Because stretching out of alignment is still stretching, but again, we want the most bang for your buck. We want to use our time as well as possible so we can go spend our time doing other things. So here I am. Ta-da! It's going to be a high lunge. I currently have my back heel on the ground. It doesn't matter, right? Because we are not doing a calf stretch. So the number one thing people tend to do is they will roll open towards their back leg. This is going to seriously decrease the effectiveness of this stretch. So back hip forward. And then you're probably thinking, this is not stretching my hip flexor at all. That's okay, it probably isn't. Play around with bending your back leg a lot, squeeze your glutes. No, we don't want to walk around, we don't want to dance like this, but sometimes we stretch like that because when you squeeze your glutes are the opposite of your hip flexor. So you contract one to increase the stretch in the other. That tends to work really well. And then here's the part I think people don't do enough of. What are you doing with your upper body? Like lean to the side or lean back. Mess around in here. There's a spot for me. If you spend 30 to 60 seconds just kind of moving around, now technically I don't think I'm in like what we think of as our hip flexor right now. I think my stretch is a little bit closer to my midline, but who cares? Because it's a great stretch. We love great stretches. So we take our high lunge and we mess around with what feels good that day. And then we do it on the other side. And don't worry if, oh, yay, see, this is nothing like what felt good on the other side. This is very much like a upper quad situation for me. And I'm just going with it because it feels, oh, yay, it feels really good. The next muscle group that I think it's really important to stretch on an almost daily basis are your glutes. So here's the deal. There is no shame in using a prop. If it makes the stretch more comfortable, you are going to relax, which will ultimately let you get farther into the stretch, which will then make the stretch more effective. How awesome is that? Also, if you're more comfortable, you're more likely to do it consistently. This is just for you. This is summer stretching. It's just for you. We're not comparing you to anybody else. So if a prop makes your life better, use it. Also, you don't need a yoga block if you don't have one. You can fold up a sweatshirt or a towel and get a pretty similar effect. I'm going to show 3 variations of a glute stretch. You don't need to do all 3. I don't even think you should do all 3. You should find the one that feels best for you today and do that and then move on with your day. So the first variation, you can have your bottom leg straight out in front of you. You can tuck it in. It doesn't make a huge difference because our focus is this glute muscle here. Also, in all of these glute stretches, if your knees are irritated by how bent your knees are, try flexing your feet. That sometimes helps realign the lower leg. But also, you're smart. If your knee hurts, don't do it. We're gonna hug it in. This one is super basic. If you haven't done this stretch already, I'm a little surprised, but cool. I'm happy that I'm part of this fun special day for you. Here, you also can do it folding forward. The key to this stretch is keeping both of your sits bones on the ground. Okay, I work with a lot of dancers who are like, I don't feel it. Well, yeah, I'm not surprised you don't feel it. Here's the deal. This right here, this is your pirate booty. You need to sink your booty to the bottom of the ocean. Another way to think about it, if you want something a little bit more anatomically oriented, is are you on your sits bones? Your sits bones, there's 2 of them. You can rock back and forth. Or are you, are you back on your tailbone? There's 1 of them and it kind of hurts to sit on. I'm gonna have to go to work on Monday and be like, I hurt my tailbone, stretching. Not good. See, this is why you should be on your sits bones. Oh my word. If you find that, bless your heart, you cannot seem to get off of your tailbone, you are doing everything you can and your body just wants to pull you back there, that's an indicator that your glutes are probably very tight. So you're gonna take your prop of whatever form it chose to take. I don't know, maybe you took 4 pillows from around the house. You do you. But you're gonna sit on top of it, and that's gonna help you get on your sits bones. See, 2 sits bones, really happy. 1 tailbone, not happy. And then you can do any of this stretch sequence from this elevated position, and that'll help you get to the target muscle group and also get off your tailbone. We've done this one. The next variation would be fire log. You're gonna take your bottom leg and you want your lower leg, your shin bone, your tibia, if you are so inclined. You want that to be in a parallel line in front of you, right? And I mean, obviously it's a parallel line. I'm not breaking your leg, but what I mean is you want it to be like, if this is the line of my collarbones or the line of my rib cage or my diaphragm, I want the line of my lower leg to be parallel to that, not diagonal from it, if that makes sense. So, and then we stack the other leg on top. Here we go. These are the logs. There's a little triangle of space in there. That's the fire. You can sit tall here. You can fold forward here. You can spiral towards the top leg. You can spiral towards the bottom leg as well. It's, I just find that when I spiral towards the top leg, it tends to be a better stretch through my spine, but you do you. The thing to consider with the spiral though is that fire, your spine is the smoke, so we want the smoke to be getting higher as it spirals. We don't want to crunch and twist. As you can see, I have a little gap here. This gap is not causing me any gripping in my hips, so I ignore it. For some people, this gap is large enough that they start engaging other muscles, particularly the hip flexor, to keep their balance, and that's not useful. So again, we come back to our prop, and then you can relax, because we really want to relax into our stretches and not stress into our stretches. And then the last variation on this is cow face. So you're going to bring your bottom knee to your midline, nose, sternum, belly button, knee. And then you're going to put your top knee on top of it. This is where I start, people. You can sit here for 30 seconds. You can fold forward for 30 seconds. I do tend to do the straight up, the forward fold, and then either a spiral or a side bend. So my glute stretches take me about 3 or 4 minutes to do both sides instead of just 1, but for me, it's worth it. You also can stretch towards the side of your top leg. You could stretch towards your bottom leg, but it doesn't tend to do as much. Stretching towards the side of your top leg really gets into the bottom leg better. But again, if you want to go both directions, I am not stopping you. This is another stretch where using a prop can be, this is a big prop. Whew, maybe just 1 pillow, but using a prop is totally a viable option. If you're here and you're folded forward and you're like, I got nothing, lady. This is fine. I don't feel a darn stretch. A, I'm very happy for you. B, you can intensify this stretch by, my knees are still in my midline, but I'm gonna bring both of my lower legs into a straight line out. So my knees are at a 90-degree angle here, and then fold forward from there. If we don't practice a split, can we even say we're dancers? I mean, yes, we totally can, but you get what I'm saying. I don't always do a split every day. In terms of hamstring flexibility, I find that doing a split every day is actually not always the most efficient way to go about it, because a lot of us do a little bit of cheating in those splits. If we switch to a half split, we often cheat less. So you're gonna start in a high kneel. I like to do this near a wall or a couch or something, because the balance can get tricky. And if you're worried about balancing, you're not stretching as well as you could be, right? So here we are. Notice where your hips are pointing, because they are currently square and we would like to keep them that way. Just like with the hip flexor stretch that was in the high lunge, the tendency is to roll towards the back leg, back hip forward. You can take your front leg out, flex your foot. Just the action of flexing sometimes does funky things. So just, be aware. If you are part of the shallow plie club, this might be a moment for you. That's okay, have your moment. But we are here. Oh, also, if you are a member of the tight quad club, this might be a moment. Have your moment, but we also do want to get a half split in here. So you're gonna inhale nice and long, and then you're gonna fold forward. You can put a hand or both hands on your thigh, on your shin bone. I know it's your femur and your tibia. I know these things. One hand on either side of your foot. When I get each hand down, I tend to readjust that flex because I can go a little farther. Back hip forward, front hip backward, tail behind you. The goal of this stretch is not to get your nose to your knee. The goal of this stretch is to be as long through your spine as you can. So it's more nose towards toes. I'm going to show you the stretch that I prefer to give students instead of a frog. They're super, super similar. So here's the reason why. For some people, something about the frog stretch just pulls their pelvis into a tilt. It's the something about that stretch just pulls some people. And I know this because I am one of those people. And when I was a student, I had a teacher, an adult male, stand on my sacrum, that nice triangle bone in the back of your pelvis, because he was trying to get my pelvis where it needed to be, trying to get it aligned, and it just wouldn't go. I'm not quite sure what in his brain made him think, I'm an adult male, let me stand on a teenager's skeleton. But it wasn't until I discovered the box split that I found a way to get my pelvis where it belonged so that I could stretch those muscles. I have found that all of my students can stretch the rotators in a box split, whereas only most of them can get to them in a frog. So that's why I do it this way. So, and no, I'm not going to say who the teacher is because I don't believe in saying mean things about people online. But you're going to start, it's basically a second position, right? It's so hard, guys, I know, it's so hard to see what I'm doing here. This makes it a little bit easier to see. My feet, my ankles are directly underneath my knees. This is just an impossible thing to get on camera, you guys. This might be the best angle I can find, but my feet are underneath my knees. They're not in towards the center. My feet are on the ground, my knees are on the ground, my hips are as high as they need to be. Do this on carpet the first time, because people tend to be kind of on the edges of their kneecaps the first few times they do it. It does take a degree of familiarity with the stretch and a degree of flexibility in the hips to even be able to get off that kneecap edge. So carpet, folded up towels, pillows, all of these things are your friends. So here we are. Your hips are as high as they need to be. If your hips are like way up here, that's fine. It changes the stretch, whether you want to be up on your elbows or all the way down on your belly. So this is one where, again, sometimes I spend a little bit longer doing it because I'll spend 30 seconds flat on my belly. I'll spend 30 seconds up on my elbows, and then I'll really press my hands into the ground and bring my hips back. If this bothers your knees, for heaven's sake, don't do it, because if you were to do this as a plie, your teacher would tell you to stop. But as a stretch, if it doesn't bother your knees, go ahead for 30 to 60 seconds.